Welcome everyone, and welcome to Innovation Monday. My name is Kathy, and I will be your host for today's webcast. Innovation Monday is your chance to pretend to be an investor. You have $1,000 to invest. You don't have to invest the entire amount or any at all. The winner will be chosen by the average amount of money invested. We are taking an average and not a total, so those with the larger or smaller audiences are not at a disadvantage. The winner will receive a prize package from HR.com and have the distinction of being an Innovation Monday winner. And now I'd like to introduce you to Sean Gallagher of FlexTime. Sean is a working time consultant. He develops new business for FlexTime across all industries and sectors. FlexTime is an award-winning developer and supplier of flexible working, time and attendance, and employee scheduling solutions for organizations of all sizes. Take it away, Sean.
Thanks for the intro. How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining me. I'm actually going to stop my video now just because it was disturbing some of my audio. So I'm just going to stop that now. But yeah, basically today it's going to be all about flexible working for the 2020s. So just to give you a little bit of an intro to FlexTime, specialize in the utilization of flexible working solutions for companies, and I have been doing so since 1983. So today we're just going to discuss the basics of flexible working and what the new decade has in store for workforce management. So just having a look at today's agenda, let's see now. I actually don't really have an extremely long presentation. Because I just kind of want to go over, as I said, the basics of it. But if you do want to engage with me on LinkedIn, I've included my link there, and also you can engage with me at the virtual booth as well. Now, before I actually get into the full presentation, I wanted to do a poll. So that should be coming up on screen now soon. So you can see, does your organization currently have flexible working? I'm sure some of you are familiar with it. So we'll see now what people have to say. Okay, interesting. Okay, so thanks everyone who answered there in the poll. And I'm just learning as well about the investing, and I hope you're going to give me lots of money. So here we go. So here are a few questions to raise about the future. Firstly, what are the social and cultural changes on the horizon? So worldwide, over the last decade, the advances in new technologies and their rapid adoption have culturally and socially driven how society is changing and organizing itself. And this is only going to accelerate in the future as we become more and more connected. And you can see this particularly with HR solutions and across the sector. So everything's just really ramping up. Second question, what does this mean for HR managers and organizations? So this has quickly become one of the biggest workplace challenges, and organizations need to stay on top of all the trends to stay relevant. It's an extremely competitive market for talent acquisition and retention. And the third question, how can they plan ahead to attain, retain, and delight their current workforce? So leading organizations are becoming increasingly concerned to grow a modern, attractable, and flexible workforce to facilitate this. So here's a quote from a very famous face we all know well. The competition to hire the best will increase in the years ahead. Companies that give extra flexibility to their employees will have the edge in this area. So that's Bill Gates there. So here we can see two studies, and I'll read them now. According to a recent study by FlexJobs, 84% of millennials want more work-life balance, and 54% want to work a flexible or alternative schedule. According to Global Workplace Analytics, up to 90% of the US workforce say they would like to telework, or at least part-time, with 2 to 3 days a week being the sweet spot for the right balance of concentrative work and collaborative work. And that's from Business Insider. Just read an interesting article on that recently. So that research there, it's kind of reiterating what Bill Gates was saying there, really. With this in mind, we can take a look at this very basic table, and we can see where the priorities and pains lie with the millennials, who are bound to make up a large majority of the workforce in the coming years. They have more of an interest in how they would like to work as opposed to how much they work. This how could be in the flexibility of when they work or where they work. An important point to also make is the rising prices in urban areas and the cost of living associated with living in central locations. And organizations that are flexible will always win in the eyes of the candidate. So that's a bit there on millennials. You're probably sick of hearing about millennials. It always seems to be something that people talk about in the news and the media. But again, it's not just millennials. It's also the organization. So you can have a look at a table here and have a look at what's the benefit for an organization. So I'd ask you today to ask yourself these questions. Do employees need to be at work in a set location every day? Can we reduce the number of premises we have while growing our workforce? So something to consider there, and just a little bit of a look at the priorities and pains. Again, very basic. This is just mainly about FlexTime, but just to explain a bit about us, it gives you a basic insight about us, the markets we're in currently, and our software can appear in different ways for all of our customers due to the differences between these industries and flexibility objectives. So in general, it can be very varied depending on who the customer is, but that quote there leads on to my next slide well, and it kind of sums up what I'm getting at is that technology to flexibly manage when, where, and how employees work. Okay. So following on from that, it can be quite broad, you know, and it gives you, this slide gives you more detailed breakdown of the when, where, and how they can work in the system. So there are over 30 different ways you can record time in our system, but it's really down to the organization, what configuration you want to go with. So when we're looking at when here, you can see employees can record working time presence using specifically designed on-screen functionality. So this could be with a time terminal on a wall, but the on-screen functionality could be doing a variety of things. It could be clocking into jobs, clocking into overtime, doing all sorts of advanced features, could even be picking a shift and so on. We have other customers that would use cards to clock in and out or biometric means. And then where employees work. So if employees record time at mobile phones, our program also uses GPS to show supervisors where they are working. So not to alarm anyone, we're not actually live tracking where everyone's going, but as an example, you might have some sales reps, people who might work out in the field, they're working on the road, and maybe they clock each time they'll get to a certain site and things like that, and you'll be able to see at the point of clocking the pin drop, like the GPS location of where they are, and then how employees work. So time spent on jobs can be tracked, thereby improving productivity. So I'd mentioned that a bit with the initial one there with the job tracking functionality, but it's, I suppose the emphasis there is that it goes beyond just the clocking in and out element of it. Now, in the real world, many changes happen during the working day, and our system gives you the ability to easily manage and audit corrections in the system. This is done on a transactional basis, and employees need to receive approval from the relevant supervisor before changes are made. And this also integrates with email. So what I mean by that is that, you know, we don't expect people to always be stuck in the system. So with the email integration, you know, if something is put through, the normal employee would get an email to say, oh, right, okay, there's been a request in the system has been approved, or, you know, it's whatever way you want to put all of the changes together. But, you know, as organizations get bigger and bigger, you know, there's becoming an increasing need for a system, especially with how many changes can pile up. So kind of coming to the end now, but this is basically what's the ROI, okay? Now, since I'm tight for time, I'll keep this general, but if you'd like to calculate your ROI, I'll show you how. So firstly, figure out how many staff you have, Okay, and secondly, figure out how much they're costing you per year in wages. With this figure in mind, calculate your cost of their absenteeism and overtime. The US average being roughly 3% for both of these, roughly. Another important element that a lot of organizations overlook are the cost of resources and admin when a system isn't implemented. So this is a bit about the slide I was talking about, one before, and processing all of these changes and annual leave and arrangements and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of cost with that, and those people could be reallocated to other work and be freed up to do other things if the system could step in there. Finally, we come back to the point I made at the beginning about talent acquisition and retention. So if you invest in them and give them the skills to succeed, you want to keep that value for your company, or it'll be lost and you have to reinvest in new people. And if an ROI assessment interests you, please get in touch and I'd be happy to give you a free assessment or a system demo. So we've now come to the end of my presentation. I know it's only a short one, but I hope you found it thought-provoking. And if you'd like to get in touch, I'll be at my virtual stand on LinkedIn, and you can also email me at the email on the screen. Thanks very much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I get your investment.
Well, thank you, Sean. That was great. So if you could just keep your contact slide up there, so if anyone wants to reach out to you while I launch our polls. So now to the audience, now it's your time. You get to play the investor. All right, I'm going to launch the first poll here. Okay, if everyone can see that on the screen, would you use this product in your organization, rated on a scale of 1 to 5? I'll just leave it open a few seconds. Thank you. And now the next one. How informative did you find this pitch? Rated on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 is very informative and 1 not so informative. I'll just leave it open a few seconds. Okay, and just the final one. Let's pretend you are a venture capitalist. You have $1,000 play money to invest. How much would you invest in this company? A few more seconds. Okay, I'm going to close off the poll. And thank you everybody for taking the time today to give us your votes. And thank you to our presenter, Sean Gallagher from FlexTime. And everyone have a great afternoon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.